So I recently got into Formula 1 and so of course I was looking for some F1 Lego. I thought, hey, Formula 1 is going on since like 1950, so there's gotta be some great sets out there. Sadly, pretty much everything Lego F1 related is either ugly or too expensive these days, so I was kinda depressed and... What the fuck? Yeah, so I was in Finland for the better part of the last 3 weeks, which is why there was no video last week. I've clearly abandoned the weekly uploads, but hey, the quality of the videos will profit from that. Something positive that came from that holiday though is that I got this set. It is incredibly hard to get this in Germany, but I was lucky enough to get it there and, well, here we are now. As said, I've become a fan of Formula 1 recently, and so I wanted to get the set just as part of the collection and also to answer the question whether this is a must-have for any F1 fan. Now, obviously this set includes more than just the F1 car. There's also the Mercedes-AMG Project One, which is a luxury sports car Mercedes has been producing since 2017. I don't know what made Lego include this car here as well, but honestly, I really like it. One thing that's gotta be instantly said though is that it hardly resembles the real car. Speed Champions always had this problem and will probably always have it, that a lot of their models just don't resemble the real life equivalent. It's most notable on the front of the car, where we have an even drop off everywhere, whereas the real model has raised lights. I actually gotta say that I prefer how the Lego version looks in comparison to the actual car, but it is very much a personal preference. Another thing this model does well in my opinion is being 8 studs wide. Now again, this is a personal preference, but for all the people that don't know what that means, let me enlighten you. When Lego started making Speed Champions set, all of the cars were 6 studs wide, 6 studs from one wheel to the other. Obviously this only leaves space for a single minifigure and is also really inaccurate to most cars, so they slowly started transitioning to 8 stud wide cars, and these days you rarely find 6 stud wide cars. Now I say this is a personal preference because a lot of people still like 6 wide cars, mostly because most of the Speed Champions lineup still consists of 6 wide cars, and also because the 8 stud cars don't work well with Lego Street System, which was made for 4 to 6 stud wide cars, but I like them more since they're more accurate, just look and feel better, and since I had a total of 3 Speed Champions cars before buying this, with probably all of them disassembled, I don't care for the consistency honestly. But whether you prefer 6 or 8 stud wide cars or think that this model is really inaccurate, it's impossible to deny that Lego came up with some great building techniques for this set. If we take the front for example, Lego used these pieces, usually enticing the wheels for the grille right in front of the windshield. With this technique they actually come pretty close to the look of the real model, and believe me, my monkey brain needed some time to actually figure out how this works while building it. But already talking about the building experience, I really had a fun time with this one. It doesn't get too boring since you build everything only once or twice, and the variation of colors don't make it too annoying to build. They also managed to include a great amount of great building techniques into this build, as previously mentioned. As someone that mostly builds Star Wars and Marvel sets, which have very simple builds, it was very nice to get back to this stage of thinking, how the hell did anyone actually come up with this? I already talked about the front, but let's talk about the fin at the back of the car. Even though you only see a small part of it, under all the bricks there's actually one of the big fins they used for the X-Men jet for example. You can even see some of it if I pull the fin. I would have never been able to come up with a technique like this, and even though that might not say a lot since I'm really not the smartest, it's still quite impressive to me honestly. But of course every car needs a driver, so Lego included a figure for this car as well. The figure is pretty generic, using plain legs and a simple but elegant jacket with the AMG logo on the back. Overall, this car is honestly quite the standout to me. I expected it to be just some car that I'd have to get if I wanted the F1 car, but honestly I almost like it more than the other one, and it might just get me to buy some more Speed Champions set, even though Speed Champions completely overdoes it with the stickers. There are 28 stickers just on this one car, like... Jesus Christ. The Formula 1 car suffers from the exact same problem, having 30 stickers in total, 33 if you counted 3 extra pieces, but we'll get to those in a minute. Now the F1 car, or more specifically the Mercedes-AMG F1 W12 Performace, try saying that 3 times, is not made to resemble the current Mercedes F1 car. Even though this set released earlier this year, the W12 Performace is Mercedes' last year's car, you can recognize this pretty easily just by the color. The current car is silver, the 2021 one is mostly black, and I gotta say I prefer the black to the silver. I think it looks much cleaner than the current silver and is also more unique among the other F1 teams. As much as I love the black though, it really didn't make for a pleasant building experience. The car looks great now, all finished, but the building process was quite annoying and also wasn't brightened up by some great technique like on the Project One. The closest you'll come to that here would probably be the halo, which is made by bending a hollow rod resting on a little black piece in front. But as said, even though it was a pain in the ass to build, it looks really good now. The proportions are pretty on point and they did a great job keeping the car as close to the ground as possible. Even though this car suffers under the number of stickers it has, there are still a few prints here, like the Mercedes logo in front or the outside of the wheels. Now, when I bought the set, I had one concern, that it was gonna be a random Mercedes F1 car with nothing pointing to a driver or anything, but I'm happy to report that my fears were misplaced. LEGO did a great job here, honestly. For starters, the tires have prints on them. This isn't a huge deal, but it adds some more accuracy since the blue markings do exist on Formula 1 tires, for example. And then there are 3 parts in this build pointing to whose car this is. In front we have a sticker with 44 on it, same with the grey flap on the back, and above the driver's seat there's a black 2x1 jumper plate. All of that tells us that this is Lewis Hamilton's car, since he dons the number 44, and if we look at the driver, there's even some loose resemblance there. But before I show you what you can do with the extra pieces I showed you a minute ago, I just want to point out what amazing printing this figure has. The square patterning below all the sponsors just really gives it that extra detail. Now, I mentioned the extra pieces. They are interchangeable with all the pieces, indicating that it's Hamilton's car to make it someone else's. I had to do some research since I'm not that good with driver numbers, but I found out that it's not current Mercedes driver George Russell, but rather last year's driver Valtteri Bottas, which makes sense, of course. From the distance, the only way you can really tell is by the yellow jumper plate on top of the car, but on closer inspection you can see the 77 indicating that it's Bottas' car now. And since I pretty much covered both of the cars completely now, I can finally answer the question, is this a must-have for every F1 fan? Honestly, yeah, I'd say so. So far, this is the most up-to-date minifigure scale Formula 1 car, and the Project One is a surprisingly good build as well. I think they both achieved what they should. The F1 car makes me want more Formula 1 cars from other teams. I'd love to have a minifigure scale McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, or even Aston Martin. And the Project One makes me want to buy more Speed Champions set, even if it's just to fill up a city I might build one day. So yeah, this is a must-have. I'll give this set a 9 out of 10, and I'm looking forward to the future of Speed Champions. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of me, check out my Shorts channel. I also have a TikTok and an Instagram under the same name as this one. And until next week, goodbye.